As I mentioned at the top of the show, our boy Ollie is in Victoria, sat
Woo!
down with Christine Sinclair Tuesday night. Let's hear a clip.
My first camp it was in Vancouver, and he told me that you performed well, and we're going to invite you to come to the Algarve with the national team. And I was just completely overwhelmed. Didn't think I belonged. And then he's like, "And by the way, you're starting." It's been quite the ride. And Evan, I give a lot of credit to him. He changed his program and gave a lot of youngsters, myself included, a chance that I don't think many other national team coaches would have. I'm thankful for him.
Can you recall maybe what your ambitions and your goals were at 16 years old entering the senior national team for the first time?
Not to make a fool of myself, to speak. I'm so quiet. And then I remember obviously scoring my second game. And then I scored a few more in that tournament. I'm not going to lie. In that moment, I found out how many goals Mia Hamm had at the time. And kind of set I never set the goal, but it was just kind of there. I'm like, wow, I've played 4 caps and scored 3 goals. This is pretty, just an awareness piece. It was, weird.
Interesting. Evan Pellerud, of course, was the coach of the team at the time. That's who she's referring to. And already at a young age and early in her career, Ollie, she's looking at numbers. We talk about her now as the all-time international goal scorer. She leads in all the, statistical categories as well for Canada soccer and caps, goals scored, assists. But did it also just kind of impress you that she was actually keeping an eye on numbers pretty early on?
Yeah, it's funny because she says that she doesn't have any memory or any kind of awareness of the records and the statistics. Like she told me she doesn't know how many caps she has, which
Mhm.
seemed kind of surprising. But on the other hand, and I think a lot of elite athletes have this, she has a really, really distinct memory for games and moments, and can, I asked her if she remembers her first camp there, her first call up. And obviously, as you can hear, she can go into quite a lot of detail about what happened, what she was thinking, what that was like. So it's interesting. I think the difference between the two. But I think as Christine Sinclair, as much as she is very, very humble, constantly making jokes to play herself down, and so she has a lot of humility in that way. You can't get away from, there is just an aura about her, right? As the player she is, but also the presence I think she is. And as much as she says she just didn't want to make a fool of herself and wanted to look like she belongs, I don't think many 16-year-olds are thinking about how many goals has Mia Hamm scored. I don't know that that's a normal thing for a young player making their first international appearances to even be thinking about. And I don't think she does it in an arrogant way. It's just, again, the kind of drive and the way she seems to operate is that stuff is actually in her mind, and it's part of what makes her such a special athlete and special soccer player, I think. So it was really interesting to talk to her a little bit about kind of the early part of her career and how she thought in those moments, and the contrast between those incredible goals that did float into her minds, but on the other hand, the humility of just wanting to show she belonged in that moment as well.
Yeah, you know what? It's funny because oftentimes, athletes, when they speak to the media, that is how the fans are able to interact with them, right? Like
Yeah.
speaking to the media is the medium, to the fans. And because she is quiet and because she kind of, the low voice and doesn't really talk that much, doesn't really do a lot of media availability, I think, sometimes you can have this impression that maybe she's a little kind of laissez-faire, but there's a killer instinct there. You don't become the
Oh
all-time
yeah.
international goal
Yeah.
scorer, right? By not having a nose for goal, and B, wanting to destroy everything in your path in order to get to that goal, which is pretty impressive. But I will say a feather in my cap, now I have to say, for somebody who avoids the media like the plague,
Mm.
just because she doesn't like being the center of attention. I've interviewed her 5 times. That is like
Oh,
5 times. Got her. I got you, Sinclair. 5 times I got her.
5 times.
Yeah. I know. I've
that's
interviewed her
great.
5 times. So, yeah, pretty and each time you do interview, you do get something, new and unique. And speaking of just finding out things, I mean, since you're out there, Ollie, and you're going to be going to practice and taking in these games, I don't know if you're hearing anything else around the team.
Not a whole lot yet. Speaking to Sinclair, she kind of mentions that Bev Priestman brought up the whole situation as it is, that this is Christine Sinclair's last games, and
Mhm.
Sophie Schmidt as well, and Erin McLeod's going to be there too. She said she was going to bring it up once in that first meeting they had when they arrived, and then nothing else until maybe closer to the game when obviously it becomes real. So there's definitely a focus. You can see their preparations for Australia on the importance of these games and getting something out of them. But we'll get to see them train today for the first time and hopefully get a bit more insight into how those preparations are going for Friday's game.